Welcome to Chat Night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. Welcome to Chat Night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. We all over the world, Chat Night Africa. We all over the world, Chat Night Africa. Welcome to Chat Night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. Welcome to Chat Night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. We all over the world, Chat Night Africa. Chat Night Africa. We all over the world, Chat Night Africa. Welcome to Chat Night, the only place that we give you good vibes. Chat Night Africa. Welcome to Chat Night, all over the world we are shining the light. Chat Night Africa. Welcome to Chat Night.
Thank you for choosing to hang out with us. My name is Divine Chamukong. You know that moment when a simple disagreement with your spouse suddenly feels like you are gearing up for battle? Voices get sharper, defenses go up, and before you know it, you are fighting to win instead of fighting for each other. But here is the twist. Sometimes the real enemy in the room isn't your partner after all. It's you. Or more specifically, the attitude you carry into a conversation. We walk into a conversation with already armed with assumptions or the need to win, the need to be right. We react with pride, ego, or fear without realizing. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are asking blunt questions. When a marriage starts to feel like a battlefield, is your attitude the enemy within? We are shining light on how our own mindset can escalate a tiny spark into a wild fire, and what it takes to shift from combat mode back to reconnection. And to help us unpack all this with wisdom, clarity, and a whole lot of real world experience, we are joined by someone who has spent over 30 decades on the front lines helping couples reconnect. Ladies and gentlemen, help me now in welcoming Dr. Daniel Shu on the platform.
Thank you, Mr. Chamukong Divine. Thank you for inviting me again. It's always a pleasure to be able to share my experience and that of my wife so that many people can learn from us. You know, my wife and I, we've come up with an expression which says this: those that learn from the mistakes of others are wise. Those that learn from their own mistakes are intelligent. But those who learn neither from their mistakes nor from the mistakes of others are foolish. So I hope that, yes, thank you so much. I hope that those listening to us will be wise because they will learn from my mistakes and from the mistakes that we found in other couples. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Dr. Daniel Shu, I'm the one to thank you for coming to take some trenchant questions on family matters at Chat Night Africa. Dr. Shu, let me start with something a lot of couples might find very uncomfortable. How often is the real source of marital conflict not the partner, not the circumstance, but the attitude we ourselves bring into the relationship?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chamko. I want to say that I will answer this question in three different ways. The first thing that I will say is that every one of us, we have what you call a blind spot. A blind spot means there are many things others know about me and others see in me that I neither know nor see about myself. And that is the blind spot. So you need to learn from your spouse and you need to learn from others to know that there's things about you don't know. The second thing that I want to say is about personality ignorance. That's a word that we've coined out to be able to make people understand that there are many people who don't know themselves. They don't know that they have personality flaws. Let me give an example. The sanguines, or those who are extravertic, they are talkatively offensive, and then those that are domineering in their personality, they are anger provocative. And then you have some people who are very calm, they call them melancholics. They are pessimistic, discouraging. And then you have what you call the phlegmatics. They are indifferent and silently stubborn and annoying. So when you don't know your personality, and when you come into a marriage and you are ignorant of these things, you may think that your spouse is the one offending you. Meanwhile, you are offending your spouse without knowing because of your personality flaws. And the third thing I want to say is that there is a strong element in marriage which we call gender differences. In gender differences, the male or the husbands, they are very confident about themselves and they are unrealistically confident. That is, they don't know that there's things that they don't know, there are things that they cannot do, there are things that they need to listen to their wives, but they are so confident about themselves and they're ignorant about the emotional life and the emotional satisfaction of their spouse. So they have a masculine perception of things in marriage, and the woman, she's verbose. Women, in fact, scientifically, it has been proven that women speak 4 times men. So, and when their husbands are not ready to listen to them, they will wash their dirty linen in public. And when they become emotionally upset, they begin to react negatively, either aggressively or by becoming very silent. So you realize that in our studies, we have realized that 50% of problems in marriage do not come from outside. They come from within, between the spouses. And so that is really what we are dealing with here. If the spouses were to know themselves, to know that they have blind spots, and to know that there are differences between the woman and the man, I think it will help them a lot. But many people do not know this difference.
You begin this conversation, Dr. Shu, by saying, let me talk about my mistakes. Why are you so ready to talk about your mistakes, to even recognize that you make mistakes? Here's why my question becomes so relevant at this point. Oftentimes, people come online to express how great they have always been, to show what King Kong, what conquerors they've always been.
Yes.
But so what is it you are trying to accomplish by saying that, well, you're going to share your mistakes?
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr.
I'm seeing you as a perfect couple.
Oh, well, that's right. Many people, somebody said, the grass is always greener on the other side. And until you enter a house, you never really know what is hidden inside that house. When you see couples in their cars, when you see them in church holding their hands, when you see them eating in restaurants in town, you never really know what is inside their couple. I want to say that I'm not disagreeing with you that my couple, by God's grace, we are a model couple and many people want to emulate us. But it never started like that. We started with a lot of difficulties, with a lot of problems, because I did not know anything about temperaments. I didn't know anything about the things I'm sharing about a blind spot. I didn't know that men were different from women. And we had our own share of problems from the beginning of our marriage. It's about 5 years into marriage, Mr. Divine, when I began to study to find out what was wrong with my marriage, that I read books on temperaments, I read books on love language, I read books on how to gender differences, and then I began to understand that in reality, my wife was totally different from me in several perspectives, and I were totally different from her. And then we began now to merge. We began to love each other. We began to, what I call spouse consciousness. I began to be conscious of the needs of my spouse, on how to please her and not please myself. And that's when my marriage began to yield and heal and became a model and a blessing.
I said I'll be asking you some blunt questions. Dr. Shu, people are listening to this broadcast who've been married for a long time.
Yeah.
Some have children who will soon be married.
Yeah.
Some have children who have relatives who are married or soon will be married. Absolutely. Why should all these people care about what you have here to tell them?
Very good. Very good. Excellent question. If you were to do marriage counseling, you will realize that in life there are several ages of crisis. The children have what you call temper tantrums. The adolescents have what you call the adolescent crisis. The youths have what you call the crisis in the 20s. The married people at the age of 40, they have what you call midlife crisis. And even the aged, those who are already getting andropause, menopause, who, when the children have all gone away, they also have what they call the empty nest syndrome. those are words I cannot begin to explain here. But you realize at every step of life, there are conflicts or crises that torment individuals or couples. And when people are not used to this information and they don't understand, then they'll start wondering, why am I having this problem in my marriage when I have known my wife for so long? But when you understand that at every level of life, there are crises you need to face, and you need to know how to handle them and how to resolve them, then you'll become a better spouse or a better couple in life.
Maybe you pastors, because you're a reverend pastor, maybe you pastors also have a shared responsibility in this. Here's why I'm saying this. Weddings are organized.
Yeah.
And all the speeches you hear have to do with how this guy has a PhD, the woman has a PhD, he's an engineer, he's this and that and all that stuff. Nobody is talking to them that, look, listen, there are some days this marriage would be rocky. So the question becomes, how do you balance it? What should people also, newlyweds, even on the wedding day, be told about what they're getting into?
Very good question, Mr. Chamkong. They should not be told what they are getting into on the marriage day. They should be told 6 months, 1 year before the marriage day. And that is what we call premarital counseling. We teach marriage counseling across Africa. And the first lesson or the first module is premarital counseling. And premarital counseling, we have put it in several stages. First of all, when a young man loves a young girl or a young girl loves a young man, you have to be sure that they are really meant to be one for the other. They are meant to be a couple, because quite often they confuse lust with love. So as a marriage counselor, you have to help them to understand, are you really in love? And were you really meant to be a couple? That's the first thing we need to ask. The second thing we need to find out at that stage is, are you medically compatible? Do you have some medical problems that cannot permit you to get married? Let me give an example. In Africa, we have a lot of sickle cell anemia, what we call in medicine drepanocytosis. So if the woman has a sickle cell trait and the man has a sickle cell trait, or if one of them is sickle cell carrier or a sickle cell patient, then you will not accept that they get married because they will have medical problems in their marriage. And lastly, if they are not meant for each other, it's better that they don't get married. Now, when you have solved this to make sure that they were meant one for the other, then you go into a series of teachings and a series of examinations, different tests that will help them to know each other. We do tests for temperaments, that is character. We do tests for love languages. We do tests on how to manage your finances. We do tests on if you are able to express love. We do tests on family foundations because there are some problems that will come from outside. Then we talk about how to to satisfy one another sexually in marriage. There are all those different elements of marriage. And I want to tell you, it's not the fact that I have a PhD that I know anything about marriage. There's a friend of mine who said marriage is the only university where people receive their certificates before they begin studies.
You didn't talk about you didn't talk about going to see the pastor. Is seeing a marriage counselor the same as going to see a pastor, pastor of your church?
That's a very good question. Many pastors do not know anything about marriage counseling. I teach in a theological seminary, and there, all that I teach is the leader and his family. And many theological seminaries don't have the courses on marriage counseling. So marriage counseling is a total course, a total subject, a total specialty by itself. And I would wish that some pastors will specialize in marriage counseling at the end of their theological training.
When you talk about asking questions whether they're really meant for each other, does that involve asking whether one person is Catholic and one person is, quote, born again Christian?
Oh, very good question. Very good question. Very good question. That's exactly not what I mean.
Why is this not important?
Yes. Are they meant for each other? There are a couple of issues that I have classified. One is attraction. Are they attracted to each other? There's a way to evaluate attraction. Secondly is what you call admiration. Attraction talks about physiognomy, talks about their habits, talks about their dressing, talks about the physical appearance. Then there is admiration. Admiration talks about their character, talks about their manner of communication, talk about the conception that they have about marriage. Then there is a third word that talks about attachment. Do they have complementarity? Do they see themselves as companions? Are they proud of each other? Then you go now, after these three preliminary A's, which I call them A's, attraction, admiration, and attachment. Then you go now to finding out about love. Do they really love each other? And lastly, are they compatible? Now, when you come to compatibility, you'll be talking about educational compatibility. You'll be talking about religious compatibility. You'll be talking about cultural compatibility. You'll be talking about physical compatibility. So there are so many aspects of compatibility.
No, let me just cut in there to ask you a question before it slips off my mind. When you talk about educational compatibility, just so that I understand, when everybody understands what you're saying, is it that if the guy, you have a PhD, your wife has to have a PhD, or your wife to be has to have a PhD? What do you mean by what do you mean by educational compatibility?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you have a PhD and the girl does not have a first degree. Mr. Mr. Chabuko, I want to tell you, you are going to have intellectual incompatibility in the house, because your level of reasoning, your level of understanding things, your level of interpreting things is the level of somebody who is an intellectual. But the woman's level or the other person's level of understanding, and we've had these problems with very rich men, businessmen who are not educated, but they have gotten married to very educated women. Let me give you an example. I had to counsel a businessman in Cameroon, extremely rich, but he was not educated. I don't know whether he had even finished A levels. But his wife is a magistrate, and this woman comes into his home and sees that this man does not know exactly how to properly manage the business. And so she comes in with her dexterity to be able to help her husband to manage the business. And what does the husband think? My wife wants to siphon my business and wants to take it over from me. And so the both of them come for counseling. I listen to the man, I listen to the woman, and I begin to advise them. And when they left, he called his friend and said, please, I will never go back to Dr. Shu, because I went to see him with my marital problems, and he took sides with my wife against me. You see, again,
maybe because they say love is blind. Well, they don't
Yeah,
want
that's
to
right.
come back to you because you're telling them what they don't want to hear.
Exactly.
Let's move on. Why is you talked about personality traits differences?
Yes.
Why is it so hard for couples to recognize when they are the ones turning a disagreement into a battlefield?
There are several reasons. The first reason is that it's ego. Some men or some women are so proud, they are so self-centered. They think that the marriage should evolve around them. They are unteachable. They think that they know it all. I want to say that in marriage, everybody must learn, be ready to learn from his or her spouse. Because the person who knows you best is your wife, is your husband. And the person who can correct you is your spouse. And if you are not teachable, you don't want to listen to the correction, it means that you are proud. It means that you have a complex. And quite often, this complex in Africa is a complex of superiority for the men and a complex of inferiority for the women. And you may also have it in the Western world. And when you have a complex of inferiority or superiority, then your ego or your inability to talk with your spouse at the same level brings that problem. So I want to say that every spouse must be ready to be broken, to be humble, and to listen to his or her spouse. Let me just give my example. There are so many things that I've learned from my wife. You know, I'm a medical doctor, but I got married with some things that I did not quite know. I didn't know how to take care of, some at a certain level, body hygiene. As a young man, I didn't quite know how to take care of my body hygiene. I didn't quite know how to take care of my mouth odor, for instance. But as I got married to my wife, who was from an aristocratic family and who had known these things because she had been taught by her parents and by her elder brothers, then she began to teach me. And since I was humble enough to learn, I was able to come up to abreast with her. So, there are certain things that many people do not want to learn, and either because they are proud or because they are naive. That's the point. So it's important to know that you never know it all, and your wife or your spouse is your teacher. And if you are ready to learn from each other, you will improve on your relationship.
You are watching Family Matters on Chat Night Africa, and my guest today is somebody who has been in the trenches helping couples to navigate the turbulence that sometimes hits marriages. And that person is Dr. Shu. He's been doing this for over 30 years. I'm sure that you've heard all the stories and you've seen all the fights. You've seen it all. My name is Divine Chamakong, and I'm anchoring this broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Listen to this. If you're watching this broadcast on Facebook, I'd rather you switch over to YouTube, and that's because live videos on Facebook only remain there for 30 days, whereas this broadcast will be online on our website, www.chatnightafrica.net forever, and also on our YouTube channel. So make the decisions as to where you want to be following our shows. Dr. Shu, some homes feel like a Shark Tank. I mean, there's so much conflict, fights. You go there, it's like two lawyers in a courtroom. Do you think that some couples have become just so used to conflict that peace feels uncomfortable to them?
There are a couple of reasons for us to explain that. The first reason is that they don't know their temperamental differences. Let me explain. There's a temperament which is called choleric. In fact, I don't like that word, but it was given by Socrates, one of the Greek philosophers, way before Jesus was born. Today we call them dominant personalities. But you understand the expression choleric. It comes from colère, which is anger in French. So if you have two cholerics, in a marriage, then what happens? They are able to, they don't withhold themselves. They are quarrelsome. They want to be heard. They want for their partners to think that they are right. They want to be praised. They want to be adored. And so when you have two cholerics in a marriage, you will have clashes. And the clashes will produce fire. And the clashes will produce psychological hurts. Also, you have another personality which is called melancholics. If you have melancholics in the same marriage, melancholics are very pessimistic and they misinterpret things and they draw wrong conclusions. And as I'm talking, I think there are some people who are identifying themselves as melancholics, as cholerics, and so on. And when you have two cholerics, or you have a choleric and a melancholic, you will also have one is nursing a lot of ill feelings against his spouse, and the other is very explosive. I counseled a couple in Britain, and the husband is a choleric, very violent in his anger and in his behavior, always accusing his wife, and the wife is melancholic, and she was dying in the house with depression, and the husband did not know. And so their home was really a home of terrible conflict. The second reason, Mr. Chamukong, is cultural. Culture has a lot of diversity. In African culture, you cannot sit down and cross your leg in front of the elderly. In America, in the Western world, you have a young lady who is sitting with old people and crosses her leg. It means nothing to them. So I'm just giving that as an example, but you have a lot of cultural differences because there are some cultures that respect the man, the masculine personality very much. I think you come from one of those cultures where,
Right.
the masculine personalities in the family, especially if they have some titles from the palace, are well respected. But in some cultures, no. The women and the men are almost at the same level. People are called by their names. And so when you have those cultural differences, a woman, let me give an example. A Black American or a white is married to an African, they will have a lot of clashes in their home, not because they don't love each other, but just because each other, they don't understand their personalities. And we have realized that many cross-cultural marriages usually have lots of problems because the people don't understand themselves very well. And then the third reason again is what I call psychological problems that people bring into their marriage. You know, I counseled a couple from the West Indies. I think that guy was from the Caribbean islands, and I taught him in Singapore. I was teaching marriage in Singapore, and this guy came and met me, and he said, "Look, Dr. Shu, I've been married for 17 years, and I can literally count the number of times I've had sex with my wife." I said, "Why?" He said, "My wife was traumatized psychologically by her uncle sexually, sexual harassment and sexual, molestation when she was a child. And so she has grown with hatred, anger, bitterness against the masculine gender. And so when she sees me, her husband, she sees her uncle in me. And so she's very reticent about sex. I also counseled two young men of recent in one of the African countries. I'll not want to say the name. And this girl was depressive. And why? Because she had loved a young man, and the young man abused her sexually and abandoned her. And so I told the young man, the new young man who would want to get married to her, please make sure your wife goes through a psychological healing before both of you get married. He didn't listen to me. They escaped my counseling, and he called me back 8 months after marriage and said, "Dr. Shu, I really wish I'd listened to you. I hardly have sex with my wife. My wife is depressed, and even presently, I'm able to call you because she's out of home." So this is just an example. There are some young men who have been traumatized, or young women who have been traumatized by homosexuality, by incest, by physical abuse, parents that traumatize them by beating them mercilessly, and that child grows up with a hatred in his or her heart. And this can even happen before the children are born. I had a young girl in France. I was as a pastor, I was witnessing to her, talking to her about God. And I said, you need to accept God because God is a father. And she's a white. She turned blue and she blurted out, "If God is a father, I won't want to have anything to do with him." My goodness me. I couldn't understand why. And she just cut off the conversation. So I just piped down. And another day, in a calm atmosphere, I asked her, "Why are you so negative about fathers?" And this is what she told me. "My mother had me as a third child in the home. And my father had not wanted to have another child. But my mother, deceived my father and got pregnant. And when my father knew that my mother was pregnant with me, he hated my mother and hated the pregnancy and began to beat my mother and smash her, traumatizing her. And then I realized this psychologically in the womb that I was hated by my father. But my mother also turned now to hate the pregnancy that had caused friction, conflict between her and her husband. And so, Dr. Shu, I was born in a shell where I did not love my father, I did not love my mother. And that's how I've grown.
Here is a question from Mavanga Mandangi. Dr. Shu, how long did you take to humble to learn from your wife? Why didn't she give up? How did you make up your mind to budge? you know,
Yeah.
did her approach matter? Did her approach matter?
Yeah, approaches matter. But
And
I
before
also
you
said
answer
that,
the question,
yes.
the phone line is open. If you want to ask Dr. Shu any question, what you observe in society or what your experiences are, feel free. A lot of you watching have my number, but in case you don't, simply dial the number 240-603-7367. 240-603-7367, and your questions will be heard worldwide. If you are outside of the United States, you can do WhatsApp 001 and then 240-603-7367. Yes, respond to Mr. Mavanga.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mavanga. The question you have asked me, you can equally ask my wife. But let me tell you that, for one, we got married as born again, committed Christians. And we know that there is no divorce in marriage. Secondly, my marriage didn't have the kind of trauma that will make somebody start thinking about divorce. We had conflicts because in marriage there are two kinds of problems. There are conflicts which are manageable, which are daily, which are common misunderstandings and differences and so on. But they are what you call crises. Crises are traumatic experiences that really hurt and can bring about the thought for separation or for divorce. We've never really had crisis in our marriage per se, but we've had conflicts. And with the conflicts, I learned to accept, appreciate my wife, and my wife learned to accept and to appreciate me. Let me just give one example of the areas. For 17 years, Mr. Mabenga, I never knew how to love a wife. And for 17 years, she did not know how to love her husband. Why? Because there is what you call love languages. My love language is quality time, and her love language is appreciation. So when I wanted to show love to my wife, I said, darling, let's go out. Let's spend some time together. Let's eat in a restaurant. Let's enjoy ourselves. I was speaking to her my love language. And she said, darling, I'm so busy. Please, I can't go out with you. And this was over and over. And I began to ask myself, who is this woman whom I want to show love to, but she's rejecting my love?
That's because you were speaking Chinese.
I was speaking Chinese, and she was not understanding. She was speaking. He was speaking maybe
whatever,
another language. So now, also she was speaking English to me, and I didn't understand. When she wanted to show me love, she would come and look at me and touch my dress and touch my face and said, "You are such a handsome young man. You are well dressed. Your perfume is excellent." It meant nothing to me. You know, Mr. Divine, I excused her because my wife comes from an aristocratic family. And I know that an aristocratic family, they teach you to learn how to say those things, whether you mean it or don't mean it. So I took it that she was just trying to please me. I did not know she was speaking her love language. It's only 70 years afterwards, Mr. Mavanga, if I'm calling the name well, that I got the book of Gary Chapman, The 5 Love Languages. I read it through a journey. I shared it with my family. Then I began to realize the love language of my wife was different. The love language of my first son was different. The love language of my first daughter was different. In fact, the love languages of each one of us in the house were different. And so I had now to learn to relate to my wife, not according to my love language, but according to her love language. And my wife too has learned to relate to me, not according to her love language, but according to my love language. And you see, now we are having our love tanks filled because my wife shows me love through my love language, quality time, and I show her love through appreciation.
When you began, when you began to respond to Mr. Mavanga's question, something got my attention. You said you got married as born-again Christians, committed Christians, in other words.
Absolutely.
Dr. Shu, that's what leaves many people scratching their heads. I'm scratching mine here.
Yeah.
Usually, when people are looking for partners, sometimes they go to these websites. I'm not publicizing that, so I put www.christian-.com.
That's right.
Because in their mind, they think that if they get somebody from church, especially who's a prayerful prayer warrior like you, like your wife, things will go. So how were you committed Christians and yet you were having so much difficulty? Were you just going to church, come back, leave the Bible somewhere else and doing your own thing, or what happened?
Excellent.
Why wasn't church enough?
Please. I just like that question. Church, Christianity, loving God are not the equivalents of a good marriage.
Say that again.
Yes. Christianity, loving God, serving God is not prerequisite for a successful marriage. Let me explain. There are many non-Christians who have successful marriages. There are many Christians who don't have successful marriages. So I want to say that knowing God and loving God helps you to have a better marriage, but does not assure that you will have a successful marriage. Why? Listen again very carefully. The factors that are responsible for the success of a marriage. Let me just give you 7 of them. 1, finances. 2, manifesting love. 3, communication. 4, the ability to take care of children. 5, third-party influences. 6, okay, let me just end at those 5. Those are 5 elements among many others. Physical appearance, sexual satisfaction, cultural differences. You just have all those elements. And those elements, some of them have nothing to do with Christianity. Health, for instance. As I told you, if you get married to an SS, a single cell, you will have a lot of problems. And then there is another aspect which many people don't understand. It's what I call negative family foundations. You have some people that come from families where they have been cursed. I counseled 5 children from a family, and I think at least 4 of them were born again Christians. They were all above 40. Mr. Divine, none of them was married. Not because God didn't want them to get married, but because their father had cursed them. And I've had cases of marriages where women or men have what you call spirit husbands or spirit wives, and they are blocking the marriage from experiencing real harmony.
All right.
So there's so much. We cannot bundle it here. But there are a lot of things that are hidden behind marriage that may not really be concerned with Christianity.
Dr. Shu, why do you think it's easier for people to find faults in their partners than to express genuine appreciation? Here is why I'm asking this question. I have friends who complain to me that when they come home, all they hear are complaints, pointing out wrongs, nitpicking, and so on. And they never ever hear for once a word of compliment from their spouses.
Yes.
What blocks that? What's even the role of compliments, expressing gratitude, compliments in a marital home?
Yes, I'll begin from the end. Normally we say criticisms destroy. Criticisms depress somebody's spirit, but appreciation encourages, appreciation builds, appreciation elevates the spirit. And so, if you have a spouse that does not know how to appreciate, please consult me. But basically, that's the problem. And why are some women or some men fault finders in their marital relationship? Several reasons. One is there are some people that are pessimistic instead of being optimistic. They always see the negative side of things. Let me give you an example. Instead of saying, my darling, your meal was excellent. You did one of the best meals that I've enjoyed since the month began. You instead say, I am not ungrateful. I am not ungrateful for the meal that you gave me. You know, that is a negative expression of an appreciation. But why not express the appreciation in a positive sense? Let me give you another example again. Your wife has cooked food and there's too much salt in it. And instead of saying, darling, please, next time, don't put, it's better that we add salt on the table. But you say, hey, you want to give me hypertension in this house? You're always putting too much salt in the food. You see, that is somebody who is very pessimistic. He's always finding faults in everything. There are some women like that. There are some men like that. The second reason is that many couples have not learned a word that I want to give you today. The word is spouse consciousness or spouse centeredness. They are instead self-centered. They are self-egoistic. They want that everything should turn around themselves. From today, please, let things not turn around you. Make sure that your attention, your ability to please should turn around your spouse. Now, when I say this, there is a natural tendency of women for them and their ideas and their mindsets to turn around their husbands. Because when Adam and Eve sinned in the garden, the punishment that God gave the woman was in twofold. It was punishment, difficult childbirth, but the second is that her intention will always be directed towards her husband. So naturally speaking, many women, and I always say women, I speak like a scientist. Normally when you have 60, 70, 80% of a situation, you can draw that is positive. So women generally have a tendency of taking care of their husbands. But men, they are more self-centered than spouse-centered or spouse-conscious. So I want to encourage every husband and some of the women to become spouse-conscious or spouse-centered instead of self-centered. So when you are coming home, begin to think of, how am I going to please my spouse? That will help. Now, the third is unrealistic expectations. There are many couples that are always expecting even beyond what their spouse can give, and they have not learned to give. I want to say that a marital relationship is about giving. And when you give, then you receive. And the last thing is uncultured, uneducated spouses. And that's what I was talking about. What do you mean? Uneducated. I'm not saying, but I'm not talking about unintellectual. No, I didn't say that. I say uneducated. That is, they have not learned how to take care of a husband or how to take care of a wife. Take, for instance, if you never did counseling, you are uneducated as marital issues are concerned. 2, if your mother or your father never really taught you at home, the women are supposed to teach their wives, their children, their girls, how to cook and the men are supposed to teach their sons how to be a responsible husband. And many children that have grown out of wedlock, either they have grown without knowing paternal love and discipline, or they have grown without knowing maternal love and instruction. They get into a marriage with a missing link, and then they are expecting their husbands or their wives to do the impossible. And then you have all those clashes and all those fault-finding attitudes that are manifested by the spouse. But please, if you have your spouse that is doing that, please, the first thing is sit down and talk with the person when the person is level-headed. And secondly, if you are Christians, pray. And third, if it doesn't work, look for a marriage counselor.
When you talked about giving, I am sure a lot of women would say, oh, they got their word from Dr. Shu today. After all, the man is the head of the household. Who should be giving more, or who shouldn't be giving at all?
Everybody should give to everybody. The husband should give to the wife to give to the husband. But, giving is not so much only about finances. You give love and you take love. You give emotions and you receive emotions. You give gifts and you receive gifts. And then you give finances and you receive finances. Take, for instance, there are some women who deprive their husbands of sex. And there are some men who deprive their wives of genuine affection. The first need of a woman is affection. Affection. If you don't understand the word, the woman wants to be pampered. The woman wants to be protected. The woman wants tenderness, care, loving expressions. The woman wants that you do everything to satisfy her emotions. And if you don't know how to satisfy the emotions of your wife, please ask her. She will let you know. But the men, they expect sex, they expect good food, and they expect their wife to turn around them. So when you don't know what your husband needs and when you don't know what your wife needs, I say you are uneducated. And in that moment, you may only be thinking of finances, but there is a give and take relationship in marriage. If your husband can tell you, what are the 5 things I'm expecting you to give me, my dear wife, you will realize that finances will not be among the 5 things that men expect from their wives. The man will say, darling, the first thing I'm expecting from you is respect. Give me respect. He said, darling, the second thing I'm expecting from you is sex. Satisfy me sexually. He said, darling, the third thing I'm expecting from you is good food. Make sure that you cook so well in the house that I will not envy to go eat outside. The fourth thing I'm expecting from you, darling, is that you take good care of our children. If you ask a man what he is expecting from his wife, he will hardly talk of finances. But if you ask the woman what she's expecting from the husband, I want to tell you, Mr. Divine, one of the first thing is affection. I want you to satisfy my emotions.
Not credit card.
Yeah, that's the second thing. That's the second thing. The second thing I want from you, my dear husband, is money. Make sure that I'm always having something in my purse. Darling, the third thing I'm expecting from you is, satisfy me also in bed. The fourth thing I'm expecting from you is security. Let me feel that I am secure around you. So you realize that the things that a woman is expecting from the man to give are totally different from the things that a man is expecting from the woman. So you understand that it's a give and take relationship.
This is, you know what? I talked to you about Dr. Shu. I don't know about you, but if I run into a man or somebody who has been counseling couples for more than 30 years, I don't know about you, that's the kind of person I want to listen to. Yeah. And you watching this broadcast, you are really blessed to be watching this. I wish I could get the whole world to watch this broadcast because so many marriages are in trouble. So many. One of my daughters told me, I went to Texas to see one of my daughters, and she said, "Dad, if you think there's drama among Africans in Maryland, come to Texas." Now, let me, before a musical interlude,
Yes.
this little joke about compliments. So this woman sat home, and her husband came middle of the night and carried her up and dancing and dancing and dancing. The woman burst into tears, and she asked, "Did you attend a prayer meeting? I'm just coming back from a prayer meeting where you were taught how to love your wife." The man said, "No, I have only learned in life to carry my own trouble, my own cross, like Jesus carried his, with joy in my face."
That's interesting.
I'm going to share another one. A couple, they sit on their balcony and they're sharing a glass of wine. Then the wife turns to the husband and says, "Honey, I don't know what I would be if it weren't for you." And her partner says, "Is it you talking, or is the wine?" You are watching.
That's
You are watching.
interesting.
So here's something that these two pieces of jokes, they reveal: a home that is bereft of compliments. That's why I ask you the question: what is the role of compliments in a home?
Yeah, first of all, Mr. Divine, I really want to appreciate you for this program. As you've rightly said, it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, and please, those who are not on now, take time to listen to this program over and over. Again, I want to say that every spouse must learn to appreciate. You know, normally the women nag and the men are silent, or they're indifferent, or they despise. Please, men, do not despise your wife. Come home from work, from your journey, with excitement to fill the house with gifts, with appreciation, with words that will elevate the spirit and the emotions of your wife. And wives, be ready to receive your spouse with that. You know, wine was the problem because the man or the woman had not been appreciating his or her spouse on a regular basis. So I've often told couples, please use your phone. Put in information. Monday, I will send a love word to my wife or to my husband. Tuesday, I will call and tell him or her how much I love him or her. Friday, I will send a poem. So when you are able to remind yourself, because we always forget, you remind yourself through a phone, through the gadgets, it will help you to learn to give appreciating words to your spouse, and that will uplift her spirit, her worth, and it will be a blessing to your marriage.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Dr. Daniel Shu on Family Matters. I told you today we'll be asking some blunt questions. And if you think we have started with, we've already delved into those blunt, incisive, probing questions, watch what's coming. We only have scratched the surface. You are watching Family Matters. My name is Divine Chamukong. The phone line is open 240-603-7367. 240-603-7367. If you have a question, if you're outside of the United States, you can do WhatsApp 001 first. And I tell you this, I don't care how great your marriage is, there's always room for improvement. Dr. Shu will be right back after about 2 minutes. Time for us to have this interlude of music, and I will be right back. Okay, Chat Night Africa, not for Africans only. My name is Divine Chamukong. On this platform are the following programs: Voices of Africa, Family Matters, which is what you're watching now, Healthline, Next Generation Today, and Echoes of Hope. Echoes of Hope is exclusively Christian content. At this point, let's again invite our special guest, somebody who has had more than 30 years of professional marriage counseling. He's seen it all. He's taken couples through all kinds of turbulences that occasionally, or in some cases, perpetually rock marital homes. Here is Dr. Daniel Schur. All right, we have some more hot questions. And again, remember, you can dial in your question 240-603-7367. 240-603-7367. More blunt questions. Dr. Shu, if money speaks, what is money saying in a lot of homes? Dr. Shu, why does money sometimes, or something meant to support a shared life, so often become the wedge that drives them apart?
This is a very, very important question, Mr. Divine, because I have done, as a marriage counselor and as a pastor, I have done a lot of studies from the Bible, and I've done contemporary studies about the problems that plague families today. In the Bible, money is not one of the problems, at least not a prominent problem. But in a contemporary world, finances are the first cause of conflicts in many homes. And this study is not only about Africa. I did this study with leaders from 25 different nations across the world in Singapore and Maui of the United States in an organization called Haga Institute. Finances is one of the the first important problem. And what is the question? Why are finances a big problem? There are two main reasons. One, finances are never enough. There is no couple, not even the richest billionaire in the world, that says, I've had it enough. As much as finances increase, the needs also increase. Secondly, the problem is not so much the fact that finances are not enough, because they will never be enough. The problem is poor management. And there are many couples that do not budget. They don't plan their finances. And the third reason is that people settle on their wants and not their needs. I don't know whether you understand that. Wants are superfluous, things that you just want to have. I want to have a more beautiful car instead of the one that I have now. Why? A car is meant to transport you from one place to another. And if the car that you have is still able to do that, then your need is met. But you want a more luxurious, more beautiful car, you want a bigger house, you want a better dress. So there are many couples that fall in the worldliness, where you want things that really your finances cannot meet. So I want to say that understanding this, money is a big, big problem. But let me help couples. I don't know whether that will be a question from you, but I want to help couples that we teach financial management in the home in 3 words. The 3 words we align them in what we call X, Y, Z. We call it the principle of X, Y, Z. And we use a fruit like a mango to illustrate. A mango has three parts. It has the skin, it has the flesh, and it has the seed. And all those three parts are important for different reasons. The skin, you throw it and it becomes manure, it fertilizes the soil, and the soil is able to produce more fruits in future. And so that X is God's money. Every tithe, every tenth of what you earn belongs to God. And it is manure to fertilize all your projects. When you give to God, God blesses your projects. The second part is the skin of the mango, is the juicy part. That is what you call the functional budget. You decide on how to manage the money to be able to take care of the needs of the family, pay your rents, pay the bills, pay food, pay the school fees and all that. But there is a seed, which we call the investment budget. Why are many families poor? Because they eat their seed. If you want to know more, come for one of our seminars.
Absolutely, we'll get there. But this program is watched also by those who are not Christians. So why is it such a problem? Why is money such a problem? Is it the lack of it? Is it greed? Is it irresponsibility, or secrecy in managing money among them or between them?
Yes, I think there's a big problem of secrecy. That is, there's a tendency that I've had across the world as I teach finances in marriages. This is what many of the women say. My money is my money. My husband's money is the family money. Let me say that there are some cultures that believe that. There are some cultures where the men say, I don't want my wife's money. I will take care of everything. But that's not God's principle. The money of the woman and the money of the man, they are supposed to put it together so that it will become the finances of their home. Many of the women have reasons why they don't want to bring their monies into the management of the home, but those reasons really are not accepted. Because
why would you have a daughter? Why would your daughter take her money to her husband if her husband is very careless or irresponsible?
Okay, yeah. Well, that's a good question, but I was not saying that she should take the money to her husband, because there are about 3 different ways of managing finances in a home. The first way is bringing the 2 salaries together and then writing out a budget for the family, according to the 3 X, Y, Z. Yeah. The second thing is the woman manages her finances and has responsibility in the home. And the man manages his finances and has responsibility in the home. And the 2 of them bring together their seed money, which they put in a bank, and it develops into a certain amount of money, and they invest it as a business of the family. Let me explain that from my family. When I got married to my wife, we began by putting our finances together. We drew budgets, but it never really worked. By the 20th of the month, since we're the salary earners, it was so tough. The money was finished, food money was finished, pocket allowance finished, everything. And so it was very difficult. And more to that, there was some external intrusion. So we opted for the second possibility. I said, darling, you manage your finances and you take care of the feeding of the home. That's what my wife does. Now, I manage my finances. I pay all the bills. I take care of the health of the whole family. And I take care of the school fees of the children. And then my wife, you bring in, your salary is not very much. You bring in 20% of your salary. I bring in 50% of my salary. We put it together in a common account, which is our investment fund. In that account, your signature, my signature must be given before we can withdraw money out of that. In that way, my wife has what you call financial independence.
Correct.
Please, any man who is listening to me, listen to that. If your wife does not have financial independence, she will feel as if she were a slave. Because usually the men have financial independence. Most often than not, they are the ones who are managing the finances. So if you are the one managing the finances, make sure that your wife has financial independence. Let me share another testimony, Mr. Chamukong. I've done a lot of counseling. This woman comes to see me. She's working in a bank. She has a salary of about 700,000, 900,000 francs. That's about 2 million francs a month. Her husband has a salary of not more than $300-400. But they are putting all their money together, and it's the man who is managing the finances. From the beginning, they were having a budget, but later on, the man just took over and just spends the money without consulting the wife. And to the level that the wife's mother is sick, and the husband has refused that woman should not come to their house, and is refusing to give money for the treatment of the wife's mother. And this woman comes to see me. 8 out of 10 people come to see a counselor are women. So the woman comes to see me and says, Pastor, if my husband knows that I've come to see you, there'll be problems in the house. So we learn to handle problems, unilaterally. So I had to give the woman counseling. And I said, in that case, I always say, consider yourself the victim and treat yourself and present yourself to your spouse as the victim. And that's what she did. So she wrote to the husband and she said, look, you are victimizing me. You are creating me you are making me to have a depression because of this. You are not taking care of my mother. And she wrote the letter to the husband. And she said, if you don't listen to me and handle me, don't be surprised that you will have to handle me as a patient, because I am really seriously traumatized. Immediately, the husband saw that. No. The husband called her. They sat down together, and then they handled the issue. It's a very dangerous thing where you have a spendthrift husband, a husband that spends without giving reports and without considering the financial situation of the home. It's a big problem. But you also have a woman who is a spendthrift or who is very greedy. That can also be a big problem in a marriage.
And the last segment of this broadcast will have to do with communication. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Voices of Africa on Chat Night. Voices of Africa, actually in terms of or translated to Family Matters. And my guest is Dr. Daniel Shu. I have a 1-minute interlude of music, and we will be right back. Hold my hands, never let me down. Hold my hands, never let me down. That is Hold My Hands, Never Let Me Down by the Grassfield Music of the Northwest region of Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Daniel Shu again. And my name is Divine Chamukong. Dr. Daniel Shu, more blunt, probing, incisive questions.
I'm ready, Mr. Chamukong. Ready.
Good. What are some of the most common attitudes that silently destroy communication between couples? And this is why I asked this question. You were able to have all the nice discussions with your wife because you could even have that discussion. So talk to me, talk to these people listening, watching you, talk to the many people whose children are getting married, talk to there's so many people who are married for many years still having so much trouble in sitting down, trouble with sitting down and just having a quiet conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Divine. There is a phrase that my wife and I have coined out. Let me say this. It says, if love is the engine of marriage, communication and understanding are the engine oil. Tolerance and forgiveness are the water that cools the engine. It talks about the heart of marriage. That means communication is the center of the heart of marriage, because when you want to express love, it's through communication. When you want to relate with your spouse, it's through communication. When you want to have sex, it's through communication. When you want to express your needs, it's through communication, even when you are eating. So communication is the engine oil of every marriage. And so when communication becomes thorny or toxic, it destroys marriage. And so every woman, every man must bridle his or her tongue. And this is what the Bible says, Mr. Divine, before I give about 4 or 5 reasons why communication can be toxic or why communication may not be fluid. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21, life and death are in the power of the tongue. And whoever uses that tongue will enjoy the fruit. It means that you either enjoy the fruit of life, blessings, or the fruit of death, destruction. So, madam, husbands, remember, the words that come out of your mouth cannot be withdrawn. Because, in fact, it's established in science that words remain hang in the air. But not just hang in the air. When you give a toxic word to your husband or your wife, you may come back and say, darling, I'm sorry. The person may forgive you, but that word will continue to ring in his or her subconscious mind. So be careful about nagging. Be careful about insults. Be careful about abuses. Be careful about howling at one another. Be careful about wrathful words, because they can cause irreparable psychological trauma in marriage. Now, what are the problems about marriage? One, about communication in marriage. One, listen very carefully, husbands and wives. Cutting into your spouse's speech. Your spouse is saying something and you immediately cut into it and you begin to give your own point. There are many women that do that. There are many men that do that. It's a sign of unculturedness and it's a sign of total disrespect. Especially when a woman cuts into the husband when he is speaking. Please never do that again. It's so disrespectful. Listen to your spouse terminate what he or she is saying before you pick up from them. If need be, jot down some things. Secondly, holding on to your personal opinion. You don't want to accept the opinion of your spouse. You think that I am right in the way I'm judging, in the way I've analyzed, in the way I've seen things, and you don't want to listen to the opinion of your spouse. It's very terrible when you are highly opinionated about yourself. Thirdly, wrong use of emotions in communication. You quickly get angry, or you quickly withdraw, and you become speechless, and you move away. No, please do not manifest wrong emotions when you are talking and when you are conversing. And then fourthly is having an argumentative spirit. You like to argue, and your arguments come to a quarrel. You know, I was counseling a couple a few days ago, and they just began to quarrel. And I am stopping this counseling. You don't come back to me to repent and let me know that you need to learn to respect each other. I will not counsel you again. Thank God they came back to apologize, and I'm on with them. So I know how to advise the husband. Look, Margaret Thatcher says this. If you need to remind people that you are the president of a nation, then you have lost control. Because people know. So if you need to remind your wife, do you not know that I'm your husband? You have lost control. Or you need to remind your husband, do you not know that I'm your wife? You have lost control.
Have you finished with the points? I have a follow-up questions.
Okay, the last point after an argumentative spirit is being opinionated, always thinking that you are right and every other person is wrong, even when your wife or your spouse has clearly proved to you that you are wrong. You still want to stand on your point. Those are issues that really create problems in communication. You must learn to listen. You must learn to contribute. You must learn to appreciate. Thank you.
Dr. Shu, why do some spouses speak to outsiders with more respect than to the person they vowed to love?
That's interesting. It's a problem of emotional imbalance. It's a problem of lack of self-control. It's a problem of having been so hurt, psychologically traumatized by your spouse, that you want to air your views and have some other persons who will be able to appreciate you. Let me give an example. I had a couple that the husband's attitude, language towards the wife was always accusative, always impolite, always nonchalant, always, just being very disrespectful. And this woman was working in an office where she paid finances. And she has somebody who comes. The person is very elegant, the person is very polite, and the person really, really keeps appreciating her. Each time she serves the man is so appreciative. The man just praises her. The man just talks about her beauty. She fell in love with that man because she was looking for somebody who will be able to uplift her image. And now, in her trauma of wanting her husband to really respect her and show tender to her, she came and told her husband, darling, please pray for me, help me. My emotions are being dragged towards a man who is constantly coming to my office. Help me. And instead of the man understanding that the wife needed care and concern and appreciation and love and emotional satisfaction, the husband now accused her and said, yes, I know that you have started going out with a man. And so the woman said, if my husband cannot learn to appreciate me and I have somebody elsewhere who is giving me such appreciation, I'll prefer to go with the person. And so the marriage got broken. So let me explain this. If at home you are not receiving what you want, then you have it outside. There is somebody who says this, Mr. Chamukom. If you feed your children very well at home, they will not bother about the food of the neighbor. I hope that is understood.
I'm going to have. I'm going to ask you two quick last questions before we wrap up the broadcast. And we've had all the problems, all the stumbling blocks: pride, ego, greed, lack of express. Here is what Dr. Darlington Johnson said: gratitude not expressed comes across as ingratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say it again. Gratitude not expressed comes across as ingratitude. Dr. Shu, before we go, how can couples relearn the language of kindness when sarcasm, irritation, or nitpicking have become so normal in the home?
First and most important thing is realize all your errors in communication. And let me say this, Mr. Divine. Let your spouse tell you your errors in communication. Because quite often, the blind spot doesn't permit us to see our errors. But let your spouse tell you what are the errors in communication that you make very often. Second thing, please ask for forgiveness. Don't excuse yourself. Don't stand on your own personal arguments or reasoning. Ask for forgiveness. Third, take a determination that you are going to change. And this should be written down. This should be written down to remind you that I have taken a commitment today to change in my attitude. But it will not come easily. If you are a Christian, fourth, pray about it. Pray seriously about it. And then the fifth, be ready to be corrected each time you have messed up again. And be ready to come back to say, darling, I'm sorry. Be patient with me. Attitude is the word. If you have a positive attitude towards change, you will change. But if you are unteachable, if you are argumentative, if you are think that you are always right, then you are not the person who will easily change his attitude in communication.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a little interlude of music, and Dr. Shu will come back with powerful, explosive bullet points, advice for those of you who decided to watch this uncomfortable content. Because to tell you the truth, it's not easy to hold up the mirror and look at your face and say, look, I need to clean this thing, it looks dirty. It's not easy. So when we started this broadcast, I said, some people might find it very uncomfortable, but these are the things that we need to hear, we need to talk about. Dr. Shu, prepare those nuggets, and we will be right back after this interlude of music. And that's done by Lazar Schatzker and his friends. It's a short interlude of music. Lazar Shatzeka. Lazar Shatzeka with his friends. Ah, boy. What a beautiful show today. And look, again, share, 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 because after 30 days, you will not find this broadcast on Facebook, but it will be on our broadcast website, www.chatnightafrica.net. If you like the content of what you're watching, well, this is what we bring here. If you want to support us, you can call me. And I want to, by the way, thank all the people who've been contributing for us to build this beautiful platform. It takes, like they say, a whole village to raise a child. If you want to contribute, if you want to support us, you can write to us, chatnightafrica@gmail.net, chatnightafrica@gmail.net, or .com, excuse me, chatnightafrica@gmail.com, or you can pick up your phone and call me. You can find me on Messenger. You can find me on TikTok. I'm everywhere. I'm not omnipresent, even though my name is Divine. Little joke there. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Dr. Daniel Shu. And again, before I call for your last word, 2 minutes, give us some powerful points that we will not forget after watching you today. Before I do that, make sure you share this video, talk to your friends about it. If you have children that are going to get married, share this video with them. Send to your relatives, even those who have been married. Okay, because like they say, there's always room for improvement. If anybody comes on Facebook telling you how their marriage is without conflict, they're plain lying. There's no such thing as marriage without conflict. It all has to do with how you're handling the conflicts. Nobody, listen, don't go and burn down your house because you saw something on Facebook that some people are doing. You know, when people take their pictures, their selfies, they don't put the ugly pictures on Facebook.
Exactly.
Rare people like Dr. Shu come and tell you that they had problems and then they fixed it and then they're doing good.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Shu.
Thank you. First of all, I want to appreciate you and this wonderful broadcast, Mr. Nchamuko. I think you are creating an international and a worldwide impact, which will not only last in our generation, but as long as these messages remain on YouTube, they will create impact for future generations. I really want to encourage you and to appreciate you. And I thank also our viewers. Now, I have 5 very brief points to give as a conclusion. 1, please never take your spouse for granted. Please don't take her or he for granted. You never know who the treasure that you have until you have lost your spouse. And I'll tell you, those who have lost their spouse, either by divorce or by separation or by death, and they are gotten married to another woman, at times they will weep and plead. They wish they had the person. Don't take your spouse for granted. Please, it's a sign of immaturity and irresponsibility. That's the very first thing I have to tell you. The second thing, please, every spouse died to serve. Come down from your horse of pride, of self-ego, of thinking that the world turns around you. No. Please learn this word: spouse-centeredness, spouse consciousness. Be conscious that if you please your spouse, you will also enjoy your marriage. The third thing I want to say, please, is your attitude is of utmost importance. Change every negative attitude in your marriage. 3 attitudes I have to encourage you. 1, forgive your spouse and forget. 2, be tolerant. Your spouse cannot change overnight. He or she has weaknesses that are built up for years, and his personality. Be tolerant. And 3, please have self-control. Learn to control yourself. Don't become a child in their home and burst with anger or withdraw and become nagging. No, have self-control. The 4th thing I want to say, please, determine to make your home a better place. not only the husband, not only the wife, if the both of you determine that your home will become a better place and you work for it, God will help you. Fifth, if you do not know Christ, you don't know Jesus, you do not know God, you don't have a personal relationship with God, remember, God is the architect of marriage. And anybody who is married in Christ and who knows Christ will have tolerance, will learn to forgive, will learn to accept the spouse with all the weaknesses. Christ in your marital home will give you the best. You know, when I got married, there was a song that was sung, and I remember that song 39 years after we are married. Invite Jesus into your home, and you will have a lovely home. And there will be grace to carry you through till death will separate you. If you don't know Jesus, please, I invite you to accept Jesus. And the last thing, Mr. Chamukong, if you are having marital issues, we are there to help you, counsel you. I live in Dallas, Texas, and if you get through Mr. Chamukong will direct you to me, and we'll be able to counsel and help you so that your marriage will be a wonderful place. I want to tell you, I'm enjoying my marriage, and I thank God for my wife every day because she's the best gift that God ever gave me. God bless you, and thank you, Mr. Chamukong.
Thank you. Wow. I told you about Dr. Shu. This man, you see, has been teaching couples, counseling both Christians and non-Christians for over 30 long years. If you can listen to him, then you probably want to go listen to your friends, and then you get what you get.
That's right.
You get what you get. And that's how we wrap up this powerful edition, When Marriage Turns into a Battlefield. Attitude is likely the enemy within. That is the subject we delved into today. Dr. Shu, thank you so much.
Thank you. Sir.
You are not always in the United States, and each time you come here, I'm going to go after you until I can bring you here.
Amen.
And I want to extend my greetings to your very lovely wife. Believe me, if you know this woman, oh, she's a dynamite, and I can understand. And as Dr. Shu concedes, it did not start this way.
Absolutely.
It did not start this way. You're not going to change. Nobody's going to change overnight. And I'm sure he has addressed that adequately.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of you who are watching. Go to YouTube. This show will be there forever. For 30 days, it'll be on Facebook, and then Facebook deletes it. But then go to YouTube. You watch it also in high resolution and on our website, www.chatnetafrica.net. I want to thank also all the people who've been contributing to make this, to have us build this beautiful, beautiful broadcast platform. I want to thank my lieutenant. He's my general. That is Ze Roja in Lagos. He's the guy who has, I don't know what I would be without him. Now, it's not wine talking, it's me talking. I don't have wine here. I don't have wine here.
That's right.
It's not wine talking, it's me divine talking.
Yeah.
I want to thank Mr. Mumbalingwa, who is also my director of transmission. So it's a lot of people doing a lot of things. You see me on camera, but there are lots of people behind who are getting these things done. Doctor, thank you again. I just want to thank you and thank you and thank you again.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
You're such a terrific human being.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
All right. And if you want to contact Dr. Shu, meet me. This is where we build relationship connection. Somebody said Africans, some people said Africans socialize a lot, but they do not network a lot. This is where you network on Chat Night Africa. You do it here.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we wrap up this edition of Family Matters. Merci à tout le monde. I want to thank all of you who are watching. Share. Talk to your family members and friends about what we are doing here. We come here to support all of you. And at the end of each thing we do here, this is what you will get. Oh, by the way, we will have a special Thanksgiving show that will be on Thanksgiving Day in the United States. I will open the phone lines. Just dial in and tell the world what you are thankful for. You don't have to be a Christian to do it. Just what is it about life that you show thanks for, that you can express gratitude for? Is it your wife? If you're looking for a spouse, you have a spouse. Is it your children? Is it your job? Is it just the mere fact that you can get up from bed in the morning and breathe, and you are not paying for that oxygen? Thank you. It's time I go. Whenever you hear this, merci à tout le monde. Au revoir.
Jungle Mix.
Yeah, yeah. It's time we say bye bye on Chart Night Africa. It's time we say bye bye on Chart Night Africa. You know it's been a pleasure with you, my friend. I can't wait to be here again, to go to love her and love her again. Gonna be there until the end. Bye bye on Chart Night Africa. It's time we say bye bye on Chart Night Africa. Oh yeah, yeah. Ooh, 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 ooh. We hope you had a great time watching Chart Night Africa. Africa's voice to the world. Chart Night Africa. It's not a land for Africa. Chart Night Africa.